Fear takes form in the darkness. The darkness feeds off screams. Fear is the enemy of childhood wonderment, built on hopes and dreams. So remember, in the terror of night, to protect the child, protect the light. Try not to become unstitched.
In a world where the powers of the ancient Greek gods live on through their ancestors, it is up to an intrepid team of heroes to foil the wicked plots of the Hybrid Engineering Corporation. Armed with new information concerning an ancient weapon fabled to have the power to kill a demon, Rev and the team split up to gather the shards and put an end to Azazel before it is too late. Little do they know, the Game Master is still pulling the strings. New characters, new threats, and tons of plot-driven action await you in The Killing Field Part 2.
In the great hall of the Justice League, there are assembled the world's 4 greatest heroes, created from the cosmic legends of the universe. Their mission, to fight injustice, to right that which is wrong, and to serve all mankind.
That's right, we are here to serve all mankind. There were going to be 4 of us tonight, but everyone be thinking about Todd. He is getting himself ready to go to fly out and be a part of his brother-in-law's memorial service. So we definitely want to be thinking about
so
him.
there's 4 hosts, and the Super Friends are 4 members.
Yeah.
Who's Wonder Woman?
You.
Okay, cool. I mean, I'm cool with that. Like, Wonder Woman's sexy, so I'm okay with that.
Here's the thing: when I was making that earlier today, I 100% knew that you were going to ask that. You were going to absolutely ask that. And Historical Fencing Guild says, "Good evening, folks." That's Nick. Nick, I'm going to throw out this invite for you if you want to come in and talk about our latest Kickstarter that we got going.
How was everybody's 4th of July?
Not bad. Not bad.
Cool. Yeah, hung out with my friend and his family and their 2 dogs. We lit some fireworks. We ate well. We enjoyed the set. I took a nap in the backyard in a very comfortable chair. Good day all around.
That's good, man.
Nice.
What about you, Dutton? What did you do?
I did some day drinking.
Okay, that's always good. I guess.
Hung out with friends.
Nobody says anything about day drinking on the 4th of July, do they? They're like, yeah, who didn't?
Yeah, right? I did.
So I saw this thing. Apparently they still have the bar tab for George Washington's farewell party. And it was like 60 bottles of this, 70 bottles of that, 40 bottles of whiskey, tequila, spiced rum, beer, like all this stuff, right? And they go, and there were only 55 people there. I'm like, it was enough to like those guys could throw it back then. I'm telling you, absolutely.
You remember the lead singer of Motorhead, Lenny?
Of course. Who can't remember him, right?
Alright, so I saw a documentary where like one of the guitarists, like Metallica, when they were coming up, they opened up for Motorhead when they were up and coming, and he was like, I remember Lenny, he gave me a fifth of Jack Daniels, and I was like, all right, cool, I'm gonna take a swig and pass it on, and then he opened up another fifth of Jack Daniels.
That was
and
for
another
him.
fifth, and he was like, no, that's yours.
Oh wow.
We're not sharing this fifth. That is your fifth. I expect you to drink it all.
Whoa.
Wow.
I'm not a smart man.
George
I knew an
Washington had
opportunity.
that same attitude, like, yo.
I knew an
This is your
opportunity would
mom.
rise. That is pure crazy. So anyway, I went to church. Cause that's what I do. So I went to church.
Things that I also do.
Yeah, and then I went to a friend of mine at their church. They had fireworks. Somebody donates like, $14,000-$15,000 worth of fireworks, and so we went and watched the fireworks show. So that's what we did. So let's we got a couple people going on here. Hey, let's check this out. So Frog G, as always, is in there.
Frog G.
Tickle the algorithm, smash the like, ding the bell, subscribe, absolutely. And hey, I just want to thank everyone who has subscribed already to the show and to the channel. We are over 200 subscribers now. And so when we started this thing, we were sitting about 120-ish, and so we were able to move up pretty quickly. That's pretty awesome. And we've only been doing this for a few months with the live thing. And we put some other content on the channel too, but it's mostly just this kind of hanging out and doing some art tips and stuff. So thanks for that, Frog G.
Sick when we got God's Black Friend to join us.
That's right. Yeah. Get all the help that we can. And Varian Grant says that it's not being a drunkard if everyone's doing it. I suppose. I suppose you're. Well, the logic is airtight. So 4th of July went pretty good. Everybody else is. We did have some pretty crappy news this week, though. So Richard Donner passed away, and we shouldn't be surprised. He was 91 years old, lived a very full life, right?
Good life.
But good long life. But I was just thinking about like how many things that he has done that really molded
The bedrock
kind of
to many people.
Yeah, like it's like there's a lot of stuff that he did that is like foundational pieces of my growing up, even into
and
adulthood.
if some people don't know, he was the director of movies like The Goonies and the first like Christopher Reeves Superman movie.
Yes. So Alfred Pennyworth is supposed to be here tonight. He's seeing Sorry Luke. I really wish the internet was reliable tonight. And I understand we're in Florida. Sometimes we get the storms as it is. And I know we've got Elsa, that crazy cartoon coming through and causing some trouble. And there's Frog G throwing out Historical Fencing Guild's YouTube channel. Yeah, you definitely want to check that out. We will have a video from Nick later on tonight. So I've got a video I'll queue up for him. Varian says, because of the Donners, we have X-Men. Lauren, his wife, produced all the X films. So yeah, let's think about that for a moment. So Goonies, number one, in the 80s, quintessential movie for me. I was born in 1980, and absolutely love the Goonies. In fact, I turned it on today. I was like, I gotta watch the Goonies. Let me see. Lethal Weapon.
Yes.
He did the Lethal Weapons. Yeah. His Superman is still with Christopher Reeves is still kind of the benchmark for Superman.
The Superman.
Yeah. And then we've got the X-Men.
Yeah, I had no idea his wife produced those films.
Yeah. I'm telling you, such a hard, such a loss, because this guy, Of course, we didn't know him personally, but this is a guy that really formed a big piece of kind of
geek culture.
Yeah, geek culture and making it mainstream. Not just doing it, but he made it kind of mainstream for us, And to this day,
and I would say respectable. People talk about how like Christopher Nolan came along and made Batman like a respectable person's movie.
Yeah.
Richard Donner did that with Superman in the 70s. Because that's a good movie. You can show that to anybody. You don't have to be a comic book fan to enjoy Richard Donner's Superman.
Yeah, you don't. And in fact, what year did that come out? We're about to IMDb Richard Donner.
I want to say 78, 79. I could be wrong.
It probably is correct. Let me do Richard Donner. Man, he is 1978. That was 2 years before I was born, right? So, yeah, I mean, yeah. Yeah, very much. Yeah, so 78 and 98 he did Lethal Weapon. So I was 18 years old watching. That was Lethal Weapon 4. So Lethal Weapon 1 was when was that? He also did Scrooged. So like that was one of my favorite holiday movies. Love that one. He did The Toy. He did Lost Boys. Radio Flyer, Free Willy.
He did The Omen?
Omen, yeah, The Omen.
You know what's crazy?
X-Men.
You don't picture the guy who did Free Willy to also do The Omen.
Right.
Right. Huge range right there.
Yeah, talk about range. X-Men Origins, Wolverine. He did. I mean, God, this guy's done so much. It's insane.
Produced The Lost Boys.
Maverick. Right? Yeah. Superman the movie obviously in 78. Superman 2 was in remastered. 1985 I was 5. So here's what's funny. So in 1985 I was a big He-Man fan. It was the first year, it was the year that I got my first comic book. And it was the year the Goonies came out. And so that was kind of like a pivotal year for me. And then the next most memorable year for me as far as direction in my life happened in 1994. So there was, it's kind of one of those, you think back on those things. And so we definitely are honoring Richard Donner tonight, and thinking about him. And yeah, and if you guys have things you want to say, pop in the comments. Make sure to let those things be heard. He did great. So every week we try to find out who's going to get canceled. We try to figure that out. Did anybody get canceled this week that I didn't know about?
The new news, they might potentially be canceling Robert Downey Jr. soon.
Why?
Apparently earlier today, he on social media he unfollowed all the other Marvel actors, Chris Evans and Tom Holland and everybody else. He unfollowed them on Instagram and I think possibly on Twitter, and no one knows what to make of it. But something's a brewing.
Well, I know
that might be a big move.
Some people he ruffled some jimmies with his statements on the Joe Rogan podcast of both of he explained his Bruce Lee thing on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, but also mentioned there is a woke culture that is kind of killing the fun and creativity out of cinema.
Well, but we've heard that about comedy. We have comedians like Bill Burr, Chappelle. We've even heard Kevin Hart talk about it. That this kind of woke culture or this cancel culture, it makes it hard to tell jokes. It's not funny. But yes, yeah, I think they're they want it. I think they want to cancel him. I think that people are like telling me that they want to cancel Rob Liefeld. I don't know why. I don't care.
Right, yeah. They're just like, I don't know why Rob Liefeld. It's not like he's some, to my knowledge, he's not like some sort of outspoken conservative or anything. He's just a guy who made lots of cool. He made like tons of money making comic books in the '90s. Right?
You know, I think.
Well, Liefeld will also. Well, the reason why they hate Liefeld is he shits on today's X-Men. He's like, look, they're having dinner parties.
It's shitty.
It's not good. If it were good, they wouldn't have to relaunch it with how many covers?
Oh yeah, they are relaunching X-Men very soon. Which, to be fair, that was already like kind of known months ago. Hickman's stepping down. Dan Jurgens is stepping in, and that's why the whole Hellfire Gala is happening.
They literally just relaunched it.
Yeah.
What was Powers of X and House of X? What was that?
Yeah.
What was that?
Supposed to relaunch it. Yeah.
So
The new relaunch, 26 covers and counting. 26 covers so far.
You get it done with 2 covers, you're not getting it done.
Well,
you know what's funny is, I know we keep bringing up manga a lot, but you get 1 cover in manga, and you kind of get 2 because on the like actual magazines, which has the individual chapters, there's a jam cover of all the characters that is in the book, which is basically all the series that's in the book. And you know, the more popular ones, they're up front as bigger characters. It's how they know.
You know, I am so sick of the manga argument. Yes, manga's doing better than U.S. comics. Manga is not U.S. comics. U.S. comics can learn a few things, but that doesn't mean that they need to copy manga.
Yeah.
They just what they need to do is
cover.
Yeah. Well, what they need to do is stop using gimmicks like collectible covers and start actually putting some decent content inside of the books, and not restarting and relaunching everything every couple of years. Yeah. Like let us get into something that, you know, let's create canon again. I loved the X-Men. I mean, Claire. Yeah.
This weekend, I hung out with a friend in Ollie. Hung out with a few friends. One of them, comic nerd. Other one, he likes comics, but you know, not so much. We went to Barnes & Noble. There was 2 Black Panther graphic novels that had like volume 2 on it. 2 different ones though.
What a story, Mark.
Like
2 different ones.
Like,
yeah.
So if someone is reading Black Panther, they just got done with volume 1. How do they know which one to pick up?
Yeah, you can grab the wrong volume 2. And then you read the story and like, yo, none of this was happening before. What is this? Yeah. Nope. This is the volume 2 of a different run.
Yeah, and now you got Fox News talking about Captain America, how it's like, you know, like it's got anti-American sentiment in it, and
Captain
it's
America
like
no longer believes in the American dream.
Which, to be fair,
it's been that way for a minute.
And it's not even like a really good argument, right? But it's my major issue is Captain America has had that whole same storyline for the last 3 different writers. Like, Ta-Nehisi Coates' main argument on his line was the American dream is dead, and his run lasted like several years. Spencer did it on his run before with the whole Secret Empire thing.
Well,
Wade kind of had it a little bit.
It was interesting when they first tried it because it was a different take. You know, and I'm okay with, like, you know, let's go in with a different take, but now it's kind of become a trope. You know, it's like, oh, let's take a really patriotic character and like make him not patriotic anymore. Let's take a very wholesome character and make him not wholesome. You know, it gets kind of, you know, to me it just gets convoluted, and it's crazy.
The first time they did it in the '80s when like when Steve Rogers becomes Nomad. You know,
I like that. Yeah.
That was cool. Like, that was when it was an original idea. And
yeah.
It was cool.
But you're treading new ground that's been treaded on, and you keep treading.
Man, it's like the grass is worn, man. Like,
it's now a dirt path when it used to be full of vegetation.
Yeah. So Joe McPhee says, "What's up, Luke? Hope all is well. All is well, sir. Hope you had a great 4th of July." We're just talking about the things that's happened this week in comics, and and that kind of stuff. And we'll be spotlighting a new Kickstarter that I've got going here later.
One more thing about the X-Men, though, is apparently, because like when Hickman started on the X-Men, I was reading it and I was excited. It was like, this is pretty cool. This is kind of exciting. Yeah. But it's come out recently. Word on the street is that Hickman had this big plan where he was taking the X-Men, like he had done with the Fantastic Four before and the Avengers, and apparently they like cut him off at the knees, and they started derailing his plans months ago, which is why X-Men has been on this decline.
Yeah, honestly,
okay, that makes sense.
If you read the event of X of Swords, it was Hickman and Tina Howard's brainchild, and you could mostly see like the plot points that Hickman wanted to push through, because those were done really well, and Hickman wrote those. And then you could tell like Tina Howard and crew the points that she wanted to do, and you're like, we're doing tarot card readings.
So, like, is there? I don't know. Like, is there?
And you could, in fact, the editor Jordan White even, like as you said, he said they have left Hickman's vision like some time ago, which definitely means months.
Which is a really nice way of saying we stopped doing his plan, and that's why the book sucks.
And it started out really strong. I will be honest. It started out really strong. But,
it also started off with like 4 titles, which was smart. And now it's like 20-something titles or 18 titles. Yeah. It's too much to keep up with. And I think Hickman just went, I'm getting the Chris Claremont deal now. I don't have to write. Y'all are going to pay me.
Well, I mean, if he had a plan and it started out okay, I don't like... So my biggest critique has been the... it's just the timeline just keeps repeating itself, and like, so there's different versions of each character and different timelines and stuff like that as an explanation. So it sounds like that is the explanation to like get away from what Hickman was doing, because it didn't seem like that's what Hickman was doing at all to start with. It seemed like there were some legs there, like it was actually going to do something good.
Yeah, you know what though? I like that part that Hickman did bring in, like the powers of X. Because it was mostly just to kind of clear up where past editors had no continuity, and there was so many time travel stories, and it was like, all right, this is how you can explain future days, Age of Apocalypse, and all of this happening.
Well, I think that's
really good cleanup, but it was like this really cool building of like a sort of weird time mythology. That there were all these other failed timelines where the X-Men failed to save the world. And this one, the one you've been reading since like 1960 whatever, this is Moira McTaggart's umpteenth time trying to save the universe, and hopefully she's gonna get it done this time.
Yeah, so, like, it was like a very he cleaned it up, and then they quickly went, that's nice. Like a toddler is like, oh, the room's clean? Dump the toys back out!
Yay! Think about what you've accomplished.
Right? Yeah, as soon as he got done cleaning it up and making their X-Men something people were like excited to read again, they're like, hey, let's dump 50 new titles by all these different people, and then start going off in these other directions away instead of like complementing what he was doing. Yeah, it was just...
We got Comics Mate in the chat today. Hello, good morning to you. It's evening to us. It's morning for you. We're having a pretty good week so far. We got William Pace in there saying, hail all, hail William Pace, and he's saying hello to Varian there as well.
You know what? I discovered something I did not know at the end of last week.
What's that?
Turns out, if you did not know, Outback is not authentic Australian food, because Australian people never saw what a bloomin' onion was. And I was like, how do you not know the food of your people?
What? What?
A former entity using background of a people to sell food unauthentic? What?
Dutton's coming in like...
I know more than you. All right.
I mean, bloomin' onion has to be authentic Australian food.
It's kind of like the it's the fortune cookie all over again. That thing was made in California by a white guy.
Yeah.
It's like, that's definitely, it's stale, and they stuck paper in it. It's definitely a California food. By all means, it's a California food. Yep. It's a soup made of ghost. The Embrace, Justice for the Dead. We had a little quick bumper for that at the beginning of the show. And Dean is the artist for that one. And it is still available in demand, so go check that out. Hey-O Frog. It's true. It's not our food, he says.
Oh, so we got an Australian.
We have. He goes, nobody knows the true origin of this bloomin' onion. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to research the bloomin' onion, and we'll talk about it next week on the show.
But you know what, though? I mean, if Outback really is authentic Australian, that means that fairy bread that they eat, I don't know where that came from. I mean, they're in Australia. That can't be Australian food because it ain't on the menu at Outback.
Right, yeah. William Pace says, I drink and I know things. Well, there you go. That's what you got. So, yeah, it's... but there's another kind of thing going on right now with X-Men, and it's people are... Again, there's also many things that kind of that come in and we argue about in comic books. And one of those right now is whether X-23 is Wolverine or not. Now, I think, okay, let me say this. I think X-23 is an awesome character. One of my favorites. And I'll just say this, I think Dutton said something about this on Twitter as well. I think it's stupid to have two characters having the same name occupying the same space and time. You know, it's like having two Iron Mans. Or, here's the thing. If we have two characters, if we have two shows that have the same name, occupy the same space and time, lawyers get involved, man.
Yeah.
Here's what I want to see. I think...
Picture like in Krakoa, someone's like, yo, can you get me a Wolverine real quick? I need to ask Wolverine something. Okay. Here's Wolverine. No, you got the wrong one.
The other one.
I need the other one.
I need the one I need the dude.
With 3 claws, not 2.
Yeah. Okay. Seeing the storylines where they're having dinner parties and stuff, I think the next step is a trademark battle in the comic books. I think that should be the next step, in my humble opinion.
I personally don't mind. I got warmed up to the idea when Miles Morales came over to the main universe and there were 2 Spider-Men. I was like, sure. Also, even before then, when you had Peter Parker and Ben Riley, and Ben Riley was the Scarlet Spider, and I like the Scarlet Spider, but like...
But see, look,
I'm sure he's still
Spider-Man, Scarlet Spider, it's not Wolverine.
But then Ben Riley became Spider-Man, right? So then...
Just Peter Parker went away.
But then Peter Parker came back. At some point, there were 2 guys named Spider-Man, right?
And Ben Riley went... I'll go back to the Scarlet Spider. The suit still fits.
I don't like with the 2 Spider-Man with him and Miles Morales. Oh, I don't mind with the 2 Hawkeyes. I don't mind. I think if Wolverine is like, I don't see Wolverine as being the type of guy who's like, hands off my neck. Like, it's really important to me that people refer to me.
A lot of them are showing. There's a page. I think it was from like. It might have been from the X's Swords where someone's like X-23 and it's like, no, it's Wolverine, and like then it cuts to Logan Wolverine. He's you tell him, kiddo.
I think Wolverine's just like, hey, I'm here to get it done. Whatever needs getting done. She can get it done too. We can both be called Wolverine. It's fine at the end of the day. I think it's weird. I think the idea of like her taking offense at being called X-23 is weird. But
that is weird.
The idea of them both being called Wolverine, like, why not?
So someone says well, X-23 dehumanizes her or whatever, but doesn't Wolverine also do that? Like, it's an animal.
Yeah, it's an animal.
Well, it was his nickname during war.
Your argument has holes in it, sir.
Also, she's the 23rd clone of Wolverine.
And Dean says even Miles Morales, arguably the only good... recognized character, gets called Miles because Peter is Spider-Man. Nothing anyone does can change that, and that is, I think there's some truth to that. I like Miles.
Here's the thing is, I was cool. Like, I would say the all new, all different Wolverine with like her taking up the mantle of Wolverine. That was actually good. It was one of the few titles in that era that was good. It was because like Logan died, like the death of Wolverine storyline. So boom, she's a clone. She took over the mantle. But having him come back to two different people, it's like y'all did this with y'all thought Clint Barton and Hawkeye was dead, so Kate took the name. He came back. Now you have two Hawkeye. It's kind of dumb when you have two. Yeah.
We got more people popping into the stream. Thanks, Bob, for joining us. Hello to you tonight.
I will say, though, 2 years ago, Laura had a solo title. 2 years ago. It was called X-23 because Marvel was like, it's confusing people.
I like X-23. I think it's a cool name. Nothing sounds more 90s than X-23. I mean, right? Tell me I'm wrong. Blink 182.
Like that 90s, early 2000s, because
Sum 41.
Because she was created like early 2000s on the X-Men Evolution show. Like, she wasn't even a comic, she was a cartoon original brought over to comics, like Harley Quinn was.
Oh yeah. Harley Quinn was a cool character. But I digress. Okay, so anyway, we got some of that going on this week.
I was gonna make a point about during Batman R.I.P. a few years back. Batman comes back from the dead. He's Batman. Dick Grayson at the time is Batman. Dick Grayson doesn't immediately go back to being Nightwing. He's like, no, you can be Batman. Why not? You're Batman, I'm Batman, everything's cool. Right? And it worked, because Batman did Batman Inc., and there were a bunch of Batman, right? Like, there was Batman all over the place. And it was cool. I remember watching the Grant Morrison run. It was great. It was a good read.
You could be Batman. It's like Oprah Winfrey was just passing out cowls. Yeah. Oprah's just passing out cowls, It's like, it is what it is. But it's comic books, and it can be fun. To me, it's not that big a deal. I'm like, whatever, let them do their thing. Now, I did find out something recently, and tell me what you guys think of this. Okay, I'm going to be honest. I'm tired of the whole, anti-Comicsgate argument within comics. I think at this point we understand that, when people are like, Comicsgate are bigots and they're racist and sexist, I think at this point we know that that's just not accurate. That there's jerks and there's boneheads in every in every walk. I've been in the church near my whole life. Okay, so I've been in the church near my whole life, and I can tell you there are even terrible people inside the church, and a lot of people that have had experience with churches have probably ran into those, and that's why they don't go to church anymore, because of the experience with the one or two bad people that are there. When largely the experience that you're going to have with people are good. Like, most people would be like, okay, I don't want to say most. Some people will be like, all Christians are terrible, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe you haven't met all of them. That's kind of a big statement. And then some people are like, oh, I hate all Democrats. I'm like, well, have you met all the Democrats? Let's really kind of it's like, well, all libertarians are like this. Well, maybe they're not. Maybe you've met some that are. So I will give you that there are some pretty foul people that have claimed a Comicsgate title, but there's plenty of foul people that have claimed an anti-Comicsgate title. But I think on the whole, of the people that I've experienced and I've worked with, these are just people that are really focused on the customer experience when it comes to comic books. And they're great people. And I think we can get over that stupid argument now, like, oh, they're all terrible people. I think we can get past that. But there's still some people that hold on to this so much. So I know there's this site called comicsgate.org. And Varian Grant, and he does a thing called Special Issues. It's news in the comics world. And he does it on Sundays. And this last Sunday talked about how there are people that will go to that website, look and see if a creator's name is on there, and if it is, they won't work with them. They use it as a blacklist. Did you know this?
I had no idea.
And I can confirm it because I heard with my own 2 ears from a creator that said, oh, well, I just go to that website. And if the creator's name is on there as one of the creators that's Comicsgate friendly, or has either, and the whole thing is on that website, they either use the hashtag or they promote Comicsgate work, or they're friendly in that Comicsgate circle. So you don't even have to make a declaration of Comicsgate to be on that website. But people will go there and blacklist people. So I love what Varian said. He goes, as a black man, I have a problem with lists. When people start talking about having names on a list, it makes me nervous. I'm like, I totally get that. I totally get that. So what is your guys' opinion of people, is there a reason to still have this fight, this don't work with them kind of thing, or are we past that thing now?
I think we should be past it. I think that there are still a handful of people, or maybe bigger than a handful. There's a certain number of people who are very anti-Comicsgate, vehemently, and they're kind of just sort of nasty, terrible people. But most of the people who say that they're anti-Comicsgate, they're just people who are on a bandwagon, who otherwise I would probably get along with, and people who I probably do get along with until they find out that I like Comicsgate comics and the people who make them, right? And so even most of the people who would call anti-Comicsgate, it's kind of just they're being duped into joining a dumb bandwagon. And the moment that they're like, this is stupid, I'm going to stop doing that, we're all good again. Right?
I think it's time we do that.
There's no real reason to dislike each other to the point where I want to make sure you don't work and you can't make cool art and get paid for it. No, I want them to be able to make art and enjoy art and get paid and have be a community, and right. And the same thing same reason I want that for Comicsgate people. And so I think it's really stupid, and it's going to go the way of the dodo eventually.
Let's put a quick pin in that just for a second. I had a comment dump, so I want to get to people's comments. So, Comicsmate says, I like Miles too, but there's no denying he was only created because they needed a black guy as Spider-Man. I don't know. I'm not a black guy. Can't speak to that. I don't particularly feel that way, but let me default to God's black friend.
I actually have a few degrees of separation from the people who came up with Miles Morales, and I have it on good authority that they just thought it was a cool idea. It wasn't we need to fill a black quota. It was just, hey, I have this idea for this character in the Ultimate Universe, and I think there was some sort of plan to end the 616 Peter Parker sort of tragically, and so they're we're gonna need a new Spider-Man, and so someone had a good idea for a new replacement Spider-Man, and that was Miles Morales. I don't think it was a quota thing. It was just
well, I know
they ran with it.
Bendis said one of his thoughts was, because he has adopted kids, and he was it's why he has created Miles and Riri Williams, newer black characters, because of his adopted kids. And he did say in New York, yes, Peter is Jewish, and you're gonna definitely see a lot of Jewish people in New York. But he's you're also gonna see a lot of mixed race.
Well, people. I don't know. Parker's not really a.
I don't know. I feel like Peter Parker is maybe not Jewish. I would call him a
Well, I mean,
Sunday Christian.
Possible.
Yeah.
But he did say because Miles isn't actually entirely black. He's half black.
Yeah. And was it
and he said in New York you're gonna see a lot of mixed race people, and he was plus it's the Ultimate Universe. You can get away with death in the Ultimate Universe. In fact, that's why Ultimatum happened. They killed so many people.
Yeah.
So he was I've done a lot of Peter Parker. Plus Peter Parker is still going to exist in the main universe. Why not do something new, something different? And it gives that good shock, and it ends this character's story, which unfortunately Bendis then later on retconned like, oh, what the spider thing, you become immortal, and it was like, why would you retcon your
move.
That was a dumb retcon.
He didn't.
I was cool with
Peter Parker back.
Ultimate Peter Parker dying, and like that being the conclusion of the story, and like passing the mantle more or less. It worked.
At the end of the day, Peter Parker fans still had 616 Peter Parker to enjoy.
Yes.
And that's why I was like, anything in the Ultimate Universe, do whatever.
Go for it.
Probably no emotion shouldn't do whatever, because the whole Scarlet Witch Quicksilver thing was someone should have went. We're a few years too soon from Game of Thrones.
All right, so we've got one here says if
Nobody is Batman, then nobody is Batman.
Yeah, sorry I dropped out there. So that whole bad weather in Florida, makes the internet unstable. I'm having the same issues right now. So yeah, so we're having that. It's not even raining outside, but it's just a little windy, I guess. So, but yeah, if everybody's Batman, nobody's Batman. William Pace says hybrids are my mutant fix. That's kind of what they're there for. Jody McPhee, the question still remains is why some fans get so upset when mantles are passed. For example, Jane Foster's Thor did not replace Odin's son. Odin's son was no longer worthy of Mjolnir due to original sin arc. They eventually changed things back. I get that. I think what it is people that aren't with the comic. And here's okay. Prepare for rant. Okay, so honestly, yeah. Just.
I know more than you. All right.
People that get upset, they're not reading the comics. Because if you read the comic, you know that this is going on, and eventually it will reboot back to the original that we know. In most cases it will. But like the whole Jane Foster thing didn't bother me because I'm like, oh well, they're just exploring a storyline. They're trying to do something new and creative. And sometimes when you write it and it sounds like it's going to work, and then the audience doesn't like it, and then you redo it. You run into that stuff. I'm certain that there are some people that pick up my hybrids book and they get reading it and they're like, oh, I like that, and then I do something they hate it. You know how I know they hate it? Because they tell me incessantly that they hate it. And so when I got to the end of the 5th issue, people were like, Luke, you totally chumped Azazel. You did all this stuff and you set up for this bad guy and then you chumped him. Why'd you chump it? It just seemed like a bad way to end it. And everybody told me that the way I ended that was bad. And I'm like, well, okay. At the end of the day, I did write the story and I got more story to tell. Now, by the time we're doing issue 7 now. We're getting ready to start crowdfunding or doing sign up for issue 8. By the time you read issue 9, you're going to be like, screw you, Luke. What did you do? You're going to be mad at me for a whole other reason because I can correct on those things. But that's the thing. Sometimes, my problem is when they try a storyline and I tell them, hey, I didn't really care for that, and they tell me I didn't care for it because I don't know, because I'm somehow morally inferior to them. Sometimes I just don't like what you did. But I give them credit for having the guts to try that, and I don't know why some people have a big issue on that or not. I'm not. It's not me.
To that exact point, I was reading Thor when they introduced the new female Thor, and I was actually really into the comic book at first before they announced that it was Jane Foster, and it was like a mystery of who's under the mask, who's wielding the hammer. That's when it was interesting, and also I had this idea that they're gonna do this cool, interesting thing for a while, and then Thor's gonna get the hammer back, so it's all good. I'm gonna enjoy the ride, and it was a pretty cool comic. But once they revealed that it was Jane Thor, I was like,
yeah, it was that for me. It was kind of that for me too. I was like, number one, it's kind of weird to think of. It was hard to visualize Thor as a lady, because those aren't dreams I need to have to try to work through.
Now I will say, all right, because Thor is my favorite hero out of Marvel.
Okay. All right.
And I actually that entire Jason Aaron. His entire run, I bought it. I will say there was actually really good moments in the Jane Foster era. There was he did some really good stuff, but he had probably his lowest low points in that era as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
It was a roller coaster mixed bag. I have issues on the whole Thor going, oh, well, I'm just gonna go by Odin's son. Like, Thor, I wasn't named Thor.
Like, if you could have 2 Spider-Mans and 2 Hawkeyes, right, and 2 Wolverines, surely the guy whose actual name is Thor can continue to be Thor. Like, that was a dumb move, in my opinion.
We got Nick Tucker joining us, man. So I think that some of that stuff is crazy and convoluted, to say the least.
Yeah, so that's when it got like hyper like.
Yeah, it got hyper polarized, but
after they revealed that it was Jane Foster.
Yeah.
I thought that was the most boring. That's kind of when I tuned out. Like it got really boring after that.
Well, I will say, like, there was, like, again, really great moments against the Shi'ar Empire. It was, like, Thor versus the Shi'ar Empire, and they did, like, a contest of the gods. Of, like, doing miracles and, different things of, like, who's the more godlier, god or whatever. And that was actually a cool concept.
Well, I hate to tell you this, guys.
I understand it can ruffle some...
I'm gonna throw in. Eventually, there's gonna be 2 trash mans.
Look at him.
And this guy's gonna be the other trash man right there. That guy's gonna be the other trash man. This is pretty cool. I'm leaving this. I'm leaving that comment up on the screen because I love it, Dean. Yes, there are just people no matter the label. Bob says, thank God for good people like you. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that very much. All of us here work really hard to try to create good comics for people. Making a website with a list of people to not work with sounds like something a hate group would do. It does. Honestly.
The website is just to actually promote the people in Comicsgate.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, some people are like, let me use this as a list.
Like Comicsgate made the group, like they made the website to help other creators and mostly to help fans know where they can go for decent content. And creators are using that as a blacklist on who to work with and who not to work with. Which, come on, get over it. Yeah. Come on, move it. It's time to grow up, guys.
I feel like if you're in the type of headspace where you're going to the website to figure out who to blacklist, the art you're producing probably isn't going to be that cool. And so it's sort of like it sucks that that's happening, but if people who are in that creative headspace don't want to work with me because I like Comicsgate, I'm probably better off for it.
Yeah.
Until they give up that, then they're probably gonna be in a better space where okay, now we can create some cool art.
And I think we have to get to the point now where we can be like, look, the overarching narrative, this big negative narrative, is just not accurate. It's just not accurate. It might be accurate to a few, but it's not accurate to the whole. When you really start to look at it, it's not bigoted, it's not misogynist, and all that kind of stuff. It's just ridiculous. And then
I want to say something because I'm kind of new to a lot of this. I'm that goofy guy who just read comic books and I got into independents because they were the cheap ones. I mean, I hate to put it out there, but they were the ones that were on the clearance rack, and you start reading those, and then you look at Marvel telling the same story again, and why? I mean, why does it matter? I don't care who somebody votes for. Is the comic good?
Right. And look, Dean says it exactly right here. He says, I'm not even American. He goes, I'm not even American. I think that makes my politics completely irrelevant to yours, and it does. Our politics, they don't. There are going to be things that maybe kind of overlap. They're still conservative and liberal thoughts, thought patterns and things like that. But he goes, I'm just here to draw cool pictures and entertain people. And I think that's what comics should be. And we've been talking about, this whole Jane Foster thing, where that came from. And they're getting ready to do it in the movies, the whole X-23. I think I would rather argue over whether or not there should be 2 characters named Wolverine at the same time, whether that works, than some kind of political agenda, behind it. I think that's the problem that I get upset with the kind of the mainstream stuff, is that you could tell there is I'm a preacher. I know, and I can tell people know when they're being preached at. And people are being preached at in comics sometimes, you know.
A lot of times.
A lot of times, yeah.
Well, I just got done watching that new Disney movie, Raya the Last Dragon.
Yeah?
Yeah, I mean, like,
It's
I
good?
hadn't seen it. It's not bad, but I can't say it's good either because it's like Disney looked at Avatar The Last Airbender and went, we want something like that. And just sort of cut and pasted it. And I'm watching it. My son's enjoying it. I'm not going to ruin his fun, you know. That's why I was a little late. I'm a father of a special needs son. And sometimes I get the calls like, I can't right now, guys. But
you know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of back in the day. It's like, oh, well, if you like Metallica, you might like this other Christian band, right? Like they would do that for Christian bands back in the day.
Right.
If you like this popular artist, you might like this. And they never sounded alike. Like it was like, no, it's like, that's not them at all. Like,
you know
it's
what?
terrible.
I hate to say it, but you know that when there used to be the Christian track comics that were really not
those are
good.
so bad.
But you know how it's like you could taste the plagiarism.
Oh yeah,
that's how I felt watching Raya, because I'm like, oh look,
I only
Last Airbender. Oh, the Madagascar penguins. Yeah,
I only like my plagiarism and satire like X-Farce Reloaded from Don Chin. By the way, still in demand on Indiegogo. Go over check it out.
Well, see, and parody farce is great.
Yes.
You know, I love it. Obviously, I wear Hawaiian shirts all over, you know, and I grew up with Benny Hill. I love parody. But, you know, these guys, I can't stand bad writing. It's like, if you want somebody to be a successor of a character, write it well and it'll make sense.
I like Riri. I like Riri in that storyline on how she was a successor. I thought that was pretty good. That was pretty well done. Some people disagree with me, but it's subjective. Art is subjective.
I have a lot of beef with some of the plot of Black Panther sometimes because the guy lies to his teammates a lot. You know, and this is me treating him like any other character. He lies to his teammates a lot, and they get the the stuff kicked out of him. And it's like, okay, Bruce Wayne, I get it. It's same reason he's a dick. But on one of the series I've been watching with my son, there's a whole thing where he can't be king again, so Shuri's queen. And it made sense. And it actually
that
made
was
a lot
like
more sense.
the early 2000s-ish.
Yeah,
like 2008-ish, something like that.
I catch up late because a lot of what I do is with the animated series that are based on the comics later.
Yeah, and you know what? That was a really good series because I think like the Fantastic Four, because like a lot of Black Panther stories happen in like Fantastic Four. He became, instead of like Shuri's Black Panther, he later became King of the Dead.
Okay,
like, he got like power similar to Black Panther power or whatever. Same like cat goddess, but he also became more of like the avatar of like past Wakandan kings, and he was
See, that was cool. That's
Necropolis.
Cool. That's intelligent.
So you had two, but they were also called two different things. Like she led Wakanda, and he protected like the sacred like ancestors' lands of like the afterlife and dead.
They're like burial grounds.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
let's move on to some more of these comments. Bob says Marvel Comics was one of my favorite publishers. I haven't bought anything. I can't remember when I bought a new Marvel book, and that's really sad because some of the kind of some of the stuff that's going in there. And then Dean says, those first Miles books were great. I've got them all on my shelf. They were great.
Oh, yeah.
He goes, they're mantleless. I kind of get the joke. Yeah. It really depends on the character. He says some characters can pass down a mantle. Others you're just stealing their name. And I kind of agree with that. So when is that like, is X-23 a mantle thing or stealing the name thing for you? Like, where's your head at with that?
All right. I'll let someone go because I can.
It's the lazy rebranding is what bugs me. they know the name Wolverine has infinite, well of punch. So we'll make her Wolverine, and I give her another name. She's a great character. You basically have
I think
Natasha Romanoff.
X-23 is a cool name.
Well, exactly. X-23 is basically Natasha Romanoff and Wolverine's illegitimate kid. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you have potentially Wolverine with tact. That's scary. I mean, like it's sort of like somebody teaching the Incredible Hulk martial arts. You get what I'm saying? This is a bacon double cheeseburger. I love a burger and I love bacon. But you're picking two things you can do it right, but then you're saying it's a Whopper. I'm like, there's no cheese on a Whopper. That's something else.
Yeah.
You know? I mean,
I will say, so when she first took over the name Wolverine, I liked it because it came off the heels of the death of Wolverine. So Logan was supposed to be show. He was dead, and she changed her costume because she always kind of wore like the biker black,
which I loved.
And she changed it to like the yellow suit and changed the name because it was like in honor of the person she was cloned after.
Yeah.
And she kind of later viewed as like a father figure. I love that, and in fact, that was one of the few comics that was really good and all new, all different. He came back, and in fact, they did change her back to X-23 because 2 years ago she had a solo book called X-23, like just 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And now they're going back to no, she's Wolverine.
But that just goes back to the conversation we had.
Well, there's multiple Green Lanterns. Yeah. And I understand some people are like, well, there's multiple Green Lanterns, but I'm like, there's a difference between having a mantle and being part of a organization which you're cops.
But you got to remember, they didn't have that organization until they did that whole reboot with it.
Until they created the second Green Lantern.
Yeah,
right.
And then
before Alan Scott was the one Green Lantern. His name was Green Lantern, the way Superman's name was Superman.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
but he was also part of the Silver Age, and a lot of the Silver Age characters went away. Golden Age took over.
But yeah, the fix for that, like their fix became canon and it made sense, and so so we deal with that right now. Let's get to Joe's comment.
All the other Green Lanterns people, I'm sorry, hold up. But with all the other Green Lanterns, though, no one just says, the Green Lantern. You now because of it being the core, you're like, Hal, John, Kyle, God. We kind of refer to them as their first names. Yeah. You don't just say, the Green Lantern.
Right. We need to get moving because I have another stream I'm supposed to be on here soon. So let's get through these. Joe D. McPhee says, my only complaint about Jane Foster Thor is that they put her in scenarios where she came off as a hypocrite, more of a hypocrite than a hero. Outside of that, it was interesting run until in the beginning, and then it got preachy at the end. And I think sometimes that's what happens. Things start out well, and then they kind of go upside down. Frog G says, I'll use that list of awesome creators that want to make comics and not shove agenda down my throat. I think that's a perfectly good use of that list. That's an excellent point, says Dean. I probably don't want to work with anyone crazy enough to actually look into it that much anyway. Yeah, I think talking about the whole Comicsgate thing and all that stuff. Yeah, I agree. Comicsgate derangement syndrome. I believe that is something that we're seeing these days. Jody McPhee says, if we can have multiple Green Lanterns at the same time, why not have multiple Wolverines at the same time? I guess, but maybe Wolverine was, it's kind of weird. Like you don't have multiple 007s, but we've come to the understanding that you can have different 007s, that it's not the same person, it's just the agent.
Maybe they could fix that with the retcon. I hate saying something positive about a retcon, but Wolverine has been on every single Marvel team at the same time. Like, at one point he was simultaneously on 6 or 8 different teams. What that would be a great.
About it in the comic.
Well, yeah, they need to do a thing where like the Beyonder or somebody just in the background has just been photocopying Wolverine, and now there's an actual like. I don't know what a group of Wolverines is called. I don't know if they're a pack or whatever. But all this time, it turns out that, sort of a Into the Spider-Verse thing, but it's all happening on the same plane.
That would be kind of funny. But yeah, I remember reading in the X-Force book, and there's this joke about him, like, he has the black, X-Force costume, and then he goes to the X-Mansion, he takes it off, and he puts on the yellow costume to go do something with the X-Men, and then he takes that one off, puts on another costume to go, like, with the Avengers, right? And then he's like, he has to go make some other appearance with this other thing, and then he has to put the black costume on again to go to do another X-Force mission. And then he's just like, at the end of the week, he's just tired. He's like, he plops in the bed, and there's just like different costumes all over the floor of his bedroom.
I want to see Wolverine done up like an Applebee's waiter with the flair for all the logos all over it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. All right.
At the end of the day, I think I don't think it's a big deal that there be multiple Wolverines.
Well, Dean says that he goes, the Wolverine is his personal nickname from when he was a soldier. So that's stealing his name. So I kind of get that. That's a little weird because it's like, he earned that. Yeah, he earned that. So it was on his dog tags. And Jody McPhee says, again, when you think about the Department, think about the Department H, where Wolverine was Weapon X, and they have many, many people in the Weapon X project. Why does people feel it is too far-fetched to have multiple Wolverines?
He was just known as Weapon X there. He wasn't known as Wolverine there.
Yeah, Wolverine was from his personal life. Yeah, and I think that's what it is. I think people who... Here's the deal. Every character is somebody's favorite character. And when you start messing with someone's favorite character, it gets a little personal to them. It's... I was watching Modern Family, and they were talking, Cam was on there talking about his funeral suit. And he was like, how you call your funeral suit? You wore it to one, and it was B. Arthur's funeral. You didn't even know her. He goes, but I felt like I did. And it's kind of one of those moments where you just kind of like, when sometimes, they're not real, but these characters are with you through some big times in your life, or maybe you relate to them and connect them in some way. And so whenever you mess with a character, you have to understand that you might be messing with somebody's favorite character. And so that can get complicated. So
it's all good, man. You know what? Look, this is actually good, healthy, nerdum arguments.
This is, and this is how we're supposed to discuss it. We're still all friends. We may not agree at the end of the night. But we're still having fun. This is what good.
I've already cut Luke's brake line, so it's all good.
You already cut my brake line. You're so funny.
What a story, Mark.
Yeah. I do want to talk about something.
Trash man. I come out, I throw trash all over the ring.
You might hear this little whirring in the back of my microphone in the background. That's the 3D printer working on this. We're doing our first test print of this. If it goes well, we're going to get a high resolution. We're going to do a mold, and so we can do resin casts of this thing and produce them faster, to produce them much faster than what we currently are.
Have you talked to Jason Krieger?
I haven't talked to him, no.
You know who I'm talking about, though, right? He has the book Ragnarok, the Mad Max Thor. That's what he does. Is he actually makes molds and statues?
Oh, nice. So, well, it's someone that I can get a hold of. I mean, I'm working on that, so that's going to be pretty neat. I think it turned out really well. I think it turned out really, really well.
I really like the veins because that is hard to do.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Luke Stone and I think exactly alike sometimes, and it's scary.
How's that?
Well, I was just slipping in to put the thing, but I realized I couldn't do it here, so I had to go in through YouTube. So we both threw up the link to the Kickstarter at like half a second apart. It was just...
Ryan Wynn says he was just texting Krager. It says the sculpt looks awesome. Thank you, Ryan. Yeah, Roberto Boleno or something like that. I know I'm going to say it wrong, but he's done a fantastic job. So the cool thing is, so for that bust, I'll throw that picture back up. So for that bust, what we're doing is that top piece is separate from the base, and so we'll put the base together. But he's building legs and boots. So we're going to use that same pose, and then we're going to do legs and boots and make it a full statue. And then what we're going to do is the base for that is going to attach to another base. And we're going to do a bust and then a full statue of Chlorine next. And then both of those will go together. Both full statues will go together. Now the bust we're just going to make as a single bust, but the whole statue will be the whole character, same pose at the top. And yeah, so we're looking at that. I think that'll be really cool to do. And so we're going to try to kind of be a little more modular with it.
That's pretty sick.
Yep. Now, we've got a quick play going on right now on Kickstarter. So we threw that link in there. We encourage you guys. We don't have a whole lot of time to talk about it, but we encourage you guys to get over there and check that out. And Ryan Wynn says this has been a great chat. By the way, thank you very much. We like to talk about fun things and and comics and stuff like that. We buy a lot of comics.
I'm gonna go out and buy some more.
Okay.
And I think you should too.
I totally that you should definitely buy some more comic books. Yeah. That's my thought. Yeah. They are fun to read.
They are fun to read. Wait, fun? In comics and games? We can do that? That's allowed? It doesn't have to be a massive, earth-shaking cultural movement? You can't just be like, hey, the bad guys got punched by the good guys, and I felt better reading it? I mean, I'm sorry.
I love that stuff.
I'm a huge Babylon 5 fan, and there's a quote where he goes, "We were the good guys, they were the bad guys, and they made a very satisfying thump when they hit the ground."
Anyway, I started blasting. Bang!
Wow.
It just... the quick play is up on Kickstarter because people asked us to put it on Kickstarter. They don't necessarily support Indiegogo for whatever reason. So, Luke got a hold of me and he was like, "Oh, I want to do a little Kickstarter." I'm like, "Yep, let's do it." So if you guys aren't really into that, we aren't into Indiegogo, or maybe you missed this is a great second chance to get an amazing
Dude, game. I'm going to be real honest. The reason why I'm on Indiegogo is because people back Indiegogo and they support it. So far, we've had this thing up for like 2 days. Like this, we're getting ready to be at the end of our second day, and we have had 0 backers. Yeah. So everyone's like, Kickstarter is better. I'm like, no, it's not.
Well, and
Kickstarter is superior.
If you really believe Kickstarter's superior, I hate to say it, guys, but put your money where your mouth is. Prove it to us,
Show me that it's superior. And I love Jody said,
"Show me the money. Show me the money."
Oh, now that's something. That's something for me to clip now. Okay.
You need to clip because look. I'm not gonna get rich on my looks, okay? I was gifted with a face for radio, so y'all gotta understand.
Yes.
No, but I
go over there and back this game. Check it out. If you also get a chance to, it's also the only time until we're done with this arc that you're going to be able to get caught up with the comic books. On Kickstarter, so they are going into the.
Thank you, Frog G. I swear, Frog G is a powerhouse.
Frog G is a hero.
I'm gonna go out and buy some more.
Okay.
Man, get mileage off that gag. I love it. But
any plans for a playtest? A stream playtest, maybe?
We have one.
We have done a couple. We did one with Red Valkyrie Presents, and if you follow the Kickstarter link, you can actually see the whole thing get play tested. I ran it, and
into the ground.
Hey,
I'm sorry.
I only go big.
That was so good.
I only go big. There's no subtle with me, man.
So good.
I'm wearing 2 sets of Hawaiian print. I fear nothing. You know? I'm a short, fat white man in America. What do I have to worry about? You know what I mean? Come on.
Speaking of short, fat men in America.
You guys all think I'm a hero, and I'll accept that responsibility.
Danny DeVito and I, you know, you gotta
Danny,
have your heroes.
Danny DeVito is a national treasure. I don't care what you say. He's amazing.
Absolutely. God bless that man. But
yeah. Dude, we have held viewership pretty good tonight. We have done a pretty good job. I'm going to have to wrap this up. Varian, my good friend Varian, is not feeling well. Speaking of Varian, if you guys are in need of distribution, if you are a creator of fine comic books, then I encourage you to check out. Go to ledg.us and sign up for an account there. If you're a retailer, you can get some great books. Arrow Comics is going to be exclusive through Liberty Distribution. Or if you make comic books, if you're watching right now, if you're one of those people that are watching and you make comic books, I encourage you to take yourself over there and sign up for an account so that you can get into, I think he calls it the declaration. I think that's the area of the site that you actually, the business takes place on. So definitely go over there and check that out. Also, if you are in need of Gemini mailers, you can use their code right now, Volt10. You go over to Gemini Mailers website and you get a 10% discount with Volt10. Use code Volt10. It helps them out if you do that. You know, it's good for you. It's good for us. It's good for your backers. So it's good for everybody. ledg.us. Thanks, Frog G. Man, Frog G is a hero. He's my hero. I'm gonna make a short story about Frog G and how he's a hero.
What we need to do, and I'm not even kidding, we need to get hold of everybody that Frog G does this for. Because if I'm seeing somebody pushing their stuff, Frog G's in the back. Like, you know what I mean? You're in front doing your thing. You look through your review mirror. Frog G's pushing. We need to do like a whole homage to Frog G someday. Like, get everybody he's pushed and just do something. Because that dude's a hero.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I'm going to go around because I do need to get going on this other stream. So let's go around, and when you get popped up real big, I want you to tell people where they can find you, and any last parting words.
Hi, I'm Nick Tucker. You can find me at the Historical Fencing Guild here on YouTube. You can also find me on the Nick Tucker channel on YouTube. I'm a game designer, artist, sword master, author. I'm on Amazon. I'm all over the place, folks. If you want to learn to sword fight, you want to have great games, you want to have a good time, look up the guy in the Hawaiian shirt, folks.
If you want to find me, you will find me at the location that I'm at currently. You can also check me out Tuesday nights here between 8 and 9ish. You can find me on Twitter at Justin Dutton 18, Facebook at Justin Dutton. I'm the one with a George Washington meme right now. And I don't know, you will find me also cheering on Frog G, the ultimate cheerleader. I don't know what to do with my hands.
You can find me at God's Black Friend on Instagram, God's BLK Friend on Twitter. You can also find some of the stuff I'm working on currently at Capcel USA on Instagram. That's CAPCEL USA and CAPCELART. Both of those on Instagram and one of them on Twitter. Anyway, yeah, so soon to be published writer, also of comic books, but also writer of video games and co-producer of video games. And so, yeah, if you want, I'm going to be coming out with some comic books soon-ish, and probably a video game before that. So, yeah, check all my socials to stay up to date on that stuff. But yeah, that's where you can find me. And here, I think every Tuesday for the foreseeable future.
Yep. Until the Lord comes, or bad weather keeps us from broadcasting. Summers in Florida, we all love it. Well, my name is Luke Stone. You can find me at lukestonestudios.com. All of my links that you need are there, including the Kickstarter link and the Indiegogo link. Make sure you go by those, check those out. Please like, share, subscribe. I think we're at 204 subscribers now on this YouTube channel. We do broadcast at the same time to Facebook, but we really want to get more traction on our YouTube because YouTube has a better quality and they don't censor you as much over there. So we can talk more freely and not get flagged for being extremists. You know what? Here's what's funny. A lot of my friends got tagged saying that they might have been encountered extremist propaganda or something, but I didn't get notified of that. So I wonder if I'm the friend.
You're the source of the extreme.
I wonder if I'm the
That's
source.
what I'm wondering too. With as much stuff as you see, we kind of post on Facebook.
Yeah. All right. Froggy's going over to topic lists. Yes. Also on the Red Valkyrie. All right. This has been Take a Break. You guys have a wonderful night, and we will leave you with this.